All right, so let's dive into this world where history meets the hustle, where ancient artifacts kind of bump into algorithms. You're talking about marketing. But in the world of arts and cultural heritage, and it's always seemed to me like this really tricky balancing act. How do you shout from the rooftops about something that's often priceless, timeless, and then somehow figure out how to translate that value to a world that's, let's face it, pretty obsessed with what's new, what's next?
Yeah, you're totally right. It really is this amazing paradox, isn't it? You're dealing with these treasures that really speak to the very soul of humanity, but yet you have to figure out a way to somehow make them relevant, even trendy, to a world that's just, constantly bombarded with information.
Exactly. So where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Yeah.
How do we even get here? Has there always been this link between marketing and cultural heritage?
Well, it's fascinating to trace that evolution. I mean, it's not like, the ancients were running Facebook ads in the Colosseum or anything. But the desire to share and showcase cultural achievements, I mean, that's about as old as civilization itself. You think about it. Think about the pyramids, the Great Wall of China. I mean, these weren't just built, They were built to be seen, to be marveled at, in a way that's like the earliest form of marketing, right? Creating something awe-inspiring that just draws people in.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So when did this shift happen from that kind of build it and they will come? More intentional promotion.
I'd say the real turning point was probably the rise of mass tourism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Suddenly travel became more accessible, and with it, that desire to experience different cultures, it just exploded. So that's when you really start to see the emergence of things like travel posters, guidebooks, organized tours, all designed to kind of entice people to visit specific destinations and cultural attractions.
Yeah. And I imagine that's also when maybe some of those potential pitfalls we talked about started to kind of emerge as well. The whole issue of cultural sensitivity, the risk of kind of commodifying or even exploiting cultural heritage for profit.
Absolutely. As tourism boomed, there was a real danger of losing sight of the deeper meaning and significance of these cultural treasures. It became all too easy to kind of reduce them to mere commodities, to package and sell them in a way that really stripped away their authenticity and the respect they deserve. A great example of this is the Grand Tour in the 17th and 18th centuries.
Yes, the Grand Tour. I remember reading about those. Wealthy, young European aristocrats traveling through Europe to soak up art, culture, and history. It almost feels like the original influencer trip.
It does, doesn't it? And just like today's influencers, there was this whole industry that just sprang up around the Grand Tour. You had travel agents, guidebooks, souvenir shops, all catering to this new demand. But as the Grand Tour became more popular, it also faced criticism for its superficiality, its focus on collecting souvenirs, rather than engaging deeply with the cultures it encountered.
Right, so it's like ticking boxes on a checklist instead of truly experiencing a place. I can see how that could lead to cultural misunderstandings and insensitivity.
Exactly, and this tension, this balancing act between promoting cultural heritage and preserving its integrity has been a constant thread throughout history. I mean, even with the best intentions, it's easy to fall into the trap of oversimplifying, misrepresenting, or even appropriating cultural elements for commercial gain.
And as you mentioned earlier, the advent of mass tourism really amplified those risks.
It did. Take, for instance, the boom in tourism to ancient Egyptian sites in the early 20th century, following the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922.
Oh, wow. What a moment in history. I bet that sparked a frenzy of interest in all things ancient Egypt.
It absolutely did. It was like ancient Egypt became its destination overnight. And while this surge in interest was great for raising awareness and generating revenue, it also led to some problematic practices. There was this proliferation of mass-produced souvenirs, often made with little regard for accuracy or cultural sensitivity.
Yeah. And I imagine there were also concerns about the impact of increased foot traffic on these fragile ancient sites.
Absolutely. The sheer volume of visitors, combined with a lack of proper conservation measures at the time, resulted in damage and wear and tear on the monuments. So you had this situation where the very act of promoting and sharing these treasures was inadvertently contributing to their degradation.
It's almost like a cautionary tale, a reminder that good intentions aren't always enough. You have to be incredibly thoughtful and strategic about how you market cultural heritage.
Precisely. But what's interesting is how often these challenges, these negative impacts, actually sparked positive change. The damage inflicted on Egyptian sites during this period led to the development of stricter conservation protocols and a greater emphasis on sustainable tourism practices.
So in a way, the negative consequences forced people to rethink their approach and find better solutions.
Exactly. It's like a course correction, a realization that you can't simply exploit cultural heritage for profit without considering the long-term consequences.
Yeah, I'm seeing this pattern emerge, this push and pull between exploitation and preservation, between commercial interests and cultural respect. It feels like every step forward is met with a new challenge, forcing us to reevaluate and adjust our approach.
You're absolutely right. And that brings us to the digital age, where we're grappling with a whole new set of challenges and opportunities. Oh yes, the digital age, social media, virtual reality. The metaverse is like a whole new frontier for marketing cultural heritage. But before we jump into that, I think it's important to take a step back and really understand the lessons we've learned from the past.
I agree. History provides us with valuable insights, cautionary tales, and even inspiration as we navigate this ever-evolving landscape. It's almost like we're holding this ancient torch, passed down through generations, and now we're trying to figure out how to keep it burning bright in a world of LEDs and fiber optics.
Yeah, such a great analogy. So let's talk about this digital landscape. I mean, on the one hand, you've got museums creating these incredible virtual tours, theaters, live streaming performances, historical sites offering augmented reality experiences. It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And think about the access this creates. Someone in rural Montana can suddenly walk through the Louvre. A student in India can attend the Shakespearean play in London.
Yeah.
It's really breaking down these geographical barriers and democratizing access to cultural experiences in a way that was unimaginable just a few decades ago. It's almost like the digital age is fulfilling that early promise of sharing these cultural treasures with the world on a scale that's even grander than those early travel posters could have ever envisioned.
Absolutely, and you knew there was going to be a but, didn't you?
Always a but when it comes to balancing innovation and tradition.
Exactly. This digital explosion comes with its own set of challenges. How do you capture the essence of a physical experience? The awe of standing before a masterpiece, the energy of a live performance in the digital realm.
Right, because clicking through a virtual tour isn't quite the same as standing in the Sistine Chapel, feeling that hush fall over the crowd, craning your neck to take in the immensity of it all.
Exactly, and that's where the real artistry of digital marketing comes in. It's not just about slapping a 360-degree view on a website. It's about storytelling, about creating an immersive narrative that draws the viewer in, that sparks their curiosity, that makes them want to experience the real thing.
So it's about using technology to enhance and complement the physical experience, not replace it.
Yeah.
Are there any institutions that you think are doing this particularly well?
Oh, there are some incredible examples out there. I'm thinking of the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City. They created this amazing interactive platform where you can explore the museum's collection, learn about different Mesoamerican cultures, even try on traditional clothing using augmented reality.
That's brilliant. It's making the learning process fun and engaging, especially for younger audiences who are so digitally savvy. But what about the other side of the coin, the potential downsides of this digital push?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the issue of digital preservation. We're creating all this incredible content, but how do we ensure its longevity? Digital formats become obsolete so quickly. Servers crash, websites disappear. Imagine if we lost access to all these virtual tours, these online archives, these digital recreations of our cultural heritage.
It's almost like a modern-day Library of Alexandria burning down, only this time it's a digital fire. So what can we do to prevent that?
Well, there's a growing movement around digital archiving and preservation. Institutions are working together to develop best practices, create standardized formats, and ensure that these digital treasures are stored securely and accessible for future generations.
It's like building a digital Noah's Ark for our cultural heritage, making sure it weathers any technological storms that might come.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the whole issue of the digital divide. Not everyone has equal access to technology or high-speed internet. So while we celebrate these incredible digital advancements, we have to be mindful of those who might be left behind.
It's a reminder that technology, while powerful, isn't a silver bullet. We need to ensure that digital inclusion goes hand in hand with digital innovation. so that everyone can benefit from these advancements.
Absolutely. And it's not just about access to technology. It's also about digital literacy, about ensuring that people have the skills and knowledge to navigate this complex digital landscape, to critically evaluate information, and to engage in meaningful ways with cultural content online.
It's like giving people the tools not just to consume culture digitally, but to create it, to share it, to become active participants in shaping the future of cultural heritage. But all of this, the preservation, the access, the literacy, it all requires resources, right? And that brings us back to the age-old challenge of funding.
Yes, the eternal struggle for arts and cultural organizations. It's no secret that many of these institutions, especially smaller ones, operate on incredibly tight budgets.
And with economic uncertainties and shifting funding priorities, it feels like the competition for those limited resources is only getting fiercer.
It is. And this is where digital marketing can actually be a game changer. Online fundraising platforms, crowdfunding campaigns, social media outreach. These tools can empower institutions to reach new donors, engage with wider audiences, and generate revenue in ways that weren't possible before.
So the digital age isn't just about showcasing cultural heritage. It's also about finding new ways to sustain it.
Exactly. Take, for instance, the case of the Museum of Underwater Archaeology in Turkey. They were facing severe funding cuts and struggling to maintain their collection. Then they partnered with a virtual reality company to create this stunning, immersive experience that allowed people to, dive into the museum's underwater exhibits.
Wait, so people could put on VR headsets and feel like they were actually exploring ancient shipwrecks?
Exactly. And it was a huge success. They were able to attract new visitors, generate media buzz, and even secure funding from international organizations who were impressed by their innovative approach. What's even more amazing is that they made this VR experience available to schools and community centers across Turkey, using technology to bring their underwater treasures to those who couldn't physically visit the museum.
It's like they turned a funding crisis into an opportunity to expand their reach and impact. And that's really inspiring to see.
It is, and it shows that with a little creativity and ingenuity, even small institutions can leverage the power of digital marketing to overcome financial challenges and connect with new audiences. But of course, it's not just about the money, it's also about understanding the people you're trying to reach, their values, their interests, their expectations.
Yes, we talked earlier about the rise of mass tourism and the challenges of cultural sensitivity. How has that evolved in the digital age?
Well, on the one hand, the digital space has amplified the potential for cultural misrepresentation and appropriation. Information spreads so quickly online, and it's easy for images, symbols, and cultural elements to be taken out of context and used in ways that are disrespectful or even harmful.
Yeah, we've all seen examples of this, haven't we? Fashion brands using sacred indigenous designs without permission. Travel companies promoting exotic experiences that perpetuate harmful stereotypes. It feels like the digital age has made it even easier to commodify and exploit cultures for profit.
It has, and that's a serious concern. But at the same time, the digital space has also created incredible opportunities for cultural exchange, for amplifying marginalized voices, for promoting cross-cultural understanding and appreciation.
So it's a double-edged sword. Just like technology itself, it all comes down to how we use these tools, the intentions behind our actions, and the values we prioritize.
Exactly. And this is where the concept of ethical digital marketing becomes so crucial. It's about using these powerful tools responsibly, thoughtfully, and with a deep respect for the cultures we're representing.
So what does that look like in practice? What are some of the key principles of ethical digital marketing in the context of arts and cultural heritage?
Well, I think it starts with authenticity,
Being genuine, representing cultures accurately and respectfully.
Exactly. It's about collaborating with communities, seeking their input and perspectives, ensuring that their voices are heard and their heritage is honored.
So not just speaking for a culture, but speaking with them.
Precisely. And then there's transparency.
Being open about your intentions, your sources, your funding.
Right. People want to know where their money is going, how it's being used to support cultural heritage. And they want to be assured that the information they're receiving is accurate and unbiased.
Yeah, no hidden agendas or shady sponsorships.
Yeah.
It builds trust, which is essential in this field.
Absolutely. And let's not forget sustainability.
Right. Thinking about the long-term impact of our actions, both on cultures and the environment.
Yes. It's about minimizing our digital footprint, using resources responsibly, and supporting initiatives that promote cultural heritage preservation and environmental conservation.
So it's not just about clicks and likes, but about creating a positive legacy for future generations. It's a lot to consider, isn't it?
It is. But I think it all boils down to this, treating cultural heritage with the same respect and reverence we would want our own heritage to be treated.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about recognizing that these aren't just objects or stories or traditions. They're part of the fabric of who we are, as individuals and as a global community.
And that's what makes this field so important, so challenging, so rewarding. We're not just marketing products or services. We're marketing experiences, connections, a sense of belonging, a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
We've talked about the past, the present, but I'm curious what you think the future holds for marketing and cultural heritage. What trends are you seeing emerge? What challenges and opportunities lie ahead?
That's a great question. I think one of the most exciting trends is the rise of immersive storytelling, using technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, and even artificial intelligence to create truly engaging and transformative cultural experiences.
Yeah, I've heard about museums creating virtual exhibits that let you walk through ancient cities, theaters staging interactive plays where the audience influences the narrative. Even historical sites using AI to recreate lost languages and bring historical figures to life. It's mind-blowing.
It is, and I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. Imagine putting on a VR headset and being transported back in time to witness the signing of the Magna Carta, or experiencing a traditional Japanese tea ceremony in a digitally recreated tea house, complete with authentic scents and sounds.
It's like stepping into a history book or a travel brochure, only it's even more real, more visceral, more emotional. But what about the challenges? We've talked about the digital divide, the risks of cultural misrepresentation, the need for ethical practices. How do we navigate those in this rapidly evolving landscape?
Well, I think it requires a constant process of adaptation, of learning, of collaboration. We need to be having open and honest conversations about these issues, involving diverse voices, and finding creative solutions that balance innovation with respect, access with authenticity, and technology with humanity.
It sounds like the future of marketing and cultural heritage is less about mastering algorithms
Yeah.
and more about fostering genuine connections and meaningful experiences.
Exactly. It's about using technology to amplify the human story, to bridge cultural divides, to spark curiosity and wonder, and to inspire a deeper appreciation for the rich tapestry of cultures that make up our world.
So for all of you out there who are passionate about art, culture, and history, I think the message is clear. Get involved. Support your local museums, theaters, and cultural organizations. Volunteer your time, share your knowledge, and use your voice to advocate for the preservation and promotion of our shared heritage.
And for those of you in the marketing world, consider the incredible opportunities to make a real difference in this field. Bring your creativity, your innovation, your passion to this space, and help us shape a future where cultural heritage is not just preserved, but celebrated, shared and cherished by generations to come.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of marketing risks in arts and cultural heritage. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning,